Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our City Council meeting of November 15th, 2023. I am not Bruce Houdeschild, our mayor. He is out this evening. I will be filling in for him. I'd like to ask our clerk to please read the roll.
Thank you. We'll start off with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Here.
Councilmember Albert. Here. Councilmember Donza.
Here.
Councilmember Cucci.
Here.
And again, the record will reflect that Mayor Houdeschild is excused for tonight.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Captain Doug Blake if he would please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to ask that the clerk please announce the meeting procedures for this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Roseville regular City Council meeting. Agendas are available at the end of the staff table to your right and also online on our city's website. All comments from the public should be directed to the City Council and not to any staff member or the audience. We ask that all speakers please speak from the podium as this meeting is being recorded tonight. For comments on non-agenda items, members of the public may address the City Council on any item that is not listed on tonight's agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Public comments on non-agenda items will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The collective initial period for public comments is limited to 25 minutes. Any speaker that did not have the opportunity to speak during this first segment due to time limitations will be able to speak at the end of the council meeting prior to council comments. The Brown Act does prohibit our City Council from taking action, discussing, or debating any item that is not listed on the agenda tonight. For comments that are listed on our agenda, we will allow each speaker to have 5 minutes, and once the red light begins to flash at the podium, we ask that the speaker please conclude their comments. Lastly, if addressing the City Council tonight, please consider stating your name for the record. And with that, we welcome you to the City of Roseville. Thank you for your civic participation.
Thank you very much. Now I'll open up to public comment, and now is the time for anyone to come forward to speak to any item that is not on the agenda. Nick, you have the floor.
Hello. My name is Nick Bryant. How are you doing today?
Great.
Well, I'd like to look at, at Southside Park, where our commuters have to go down that big, where you get out at Southside Park. That sidewalk is so, it's really hard for our commuters to get out because, it's just, that sidewalk needs to be fixed, flattened because, the commuters are just, it's so a tight turn to get out of Southside Park when a commuter goes there, and they have to go slow to try to get out of there because this is a tight turn right there, and I feel like that needs to be fixed, looked at, because when a commuter gets out, it's a tight turn for them. So I feel like that needs to be fixed. And also, I am happy that with our game day going to the Kings games, I do want to say thank you to the City of Roseville having our Game Day Express going downtown Sac for the Kings games. I do want to say thank you to that. And I also do want to say, I want to thank the Roseville Police Department for patrolling our city. They have done a way good job. And I would like to say congratulations, Roseville Police, for patrolling our city and making sure that crime does not come up here in Roseville. Especially you got the new housing development being built up here. It's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be like LA, but we're going to have Roseville PD patrolling, and don't worry, if crime starts coming up here in Roseville PD is going to be on it because they don't play around in Roseville. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Nick. Is there anyone else here tonight that would like to make a comment on any item that is not on the agenda?
Are the comment cards for the agenda?
Okay, I will close public comment and we will move into the consent calendar, and I'll ask our clerk to announce the procedures for the consent calendar.
Thank you very much. So all matters on consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one motion of the City Council. There will be no discussion on consent calendar items unless a member of the City Council, staff, or a member of the public requests that a specific item be pulled for further discussion. At this time, neither council or staff has made such a request. However, we do have 2 speaker cards, and a request has been made to pull item 6.12 for comments on that item. With that, the City Council will consider the consent calendar items 6.1 through 6.11, 6.13 through 6.17. At this time, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
And Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Motion passes. We'll take up item 6.12 for discussion, as we had 2 requests to speak and make comments on that item. 6.12 is the 2023 Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan adoption.
Would Josh like to come forward? Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Josh Hickson, and I am here because Figure 9-1 of the 2023 Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan, displaying the combined dam inundation hazard area, declares a limit of study located at 6382 Phillip Road. This means that Figure 9's data does not include most of the 1750 acres of land known as Reason Farms. On Tetra Tech page 12-9, regarding figure 12-2 flood repetitive loss areas, the floodplain risk depicts a 1% annual chance flood hazard of 100 years on the Al Johnson Wildlife Area, APN 017-101-002-000, and on the Phillip Road site, APN-017-101-008-000. The source of that data comes from FEMA's Roseville ESRI map, created on May 18, 2016. Importantly, FEMA revised floodplain risks on November 23, 2020. It appears that floodplain information in the City of Roseville's Multi-Hazard Risk Mitigation Plan does not reflect revised floodplain risks requested by the City of Roseville, Letter of Map Revision number 20-9-0505P, effective November 23, 2020. A city public works official was asked about 9-1's lack of data, and he explained that the figure 9-1 ends at Reason Farms because the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation submitted the data to the city before the land was annexed. That was his assumption. This doesn't explain why the city hasn't included the data to extend the map. It seems unfair to the developer that is in contract to purchase 6382 Phillip Road that the city has not shown the full extent of the dam inundation hazard. When I read this map, I thought we were lucky that we were at the edge of this inundation until I realized that this must not be the real boundary. It makes me wonder, where else have there been limits of study applied to this map because of a lack of information due to other annexed lands? If there is a limit of study in this area of Roseville, it potentially exists elsewhere on figure 9-1 as well. Once the MHMP is approved, it is an automatic update of the safety element of the general plan, which has legal significance. Additionally, Roseville's online GIS tool, where you can input your address and see the dam inundation, lacks important information. So in conclusion, I propose several motions. I propose a motion to revise and update figure 9-1 to show the current projected boundaries before approving the MHMP of 2023. I propose a motion to expand figure 9-3 into several more detailed maps with landmarks for higher ground, detail on projected water levels, and projected water velocities to ensure that Roseville residents are informed enough to evacuate safely. And I propose that both these and the online GIS map are updated to show the current projected boundaries of the dam inundation and flood risk before approving the 2023 MHMP. Other residents here this evening have more info. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have another speaker card. Bernard, would you like to come forward? Good evening.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for having me. This is kind of just tying back into what Josh mentioned with regards to the inaccuracies on the MHMP maps. On Tetra Tech page 12-9 regarding figure 12-2 flood repetitive loss areas, the floodplain risk depicts a 1% annual chance of flood hazards on the 100-year plan on the Al Johnson Wildlife Area, APN 017-101-002-000, and on the Phillip Road site, APN number 017-101-008-000. The source of the data for Figure 12.2 is FEMA map created May 18, 2016, which is what Josh mentioned earlier. The question that I have with the council members to date, the concerns that we're currently seeing right now is that there's a lot of different inaccuracies with maps being predicted, from the FEMA map to the proposed flood retention plan, to some other maps that we're seeing online related to the Central Valley Flood Protection Board. The question that I have for the City Council is, has the City of Roseville coordinated with the Central Valley Flood Protection Board to ensure that the floodplain mapping is accurately represented and complete for all land of the City of Roseville? If not yet, I propose a motion to do so. The other question that we have is related to the mitigations of contaminated water during heavy storms, and if the City of Roseville has intentions to address some of that. We have seen some temporary use of land around that general area for asphalt grindings, and there are some concerns with hazards and contaminations to our waterways. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you for your comments. I will open it up to public, see if anybody else has any public comment. Okay, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the council for action.
I'd
you
like
want
to
to-
hear staff address the
Staff
questions.
report or anything?
Sure, I can have Jason Tchaikovsky come up to the dais. No, staff table, Jason. Yeah, typically these types of things comes up from the agencies when we run the report. I'm not aware of any issues coming from the agencies, so I'll let Jason speak to them.
Good evening, Council. So the multi-hazard mitigation plan has been reviewed by both the FEMA and by the state, was that the Office of Safety? No, it wasn't Water Resources. It was their, but Water Resources looked at it as well. But I was looking through the hazard plan as they were speaking, and I was looking at some of the maps, and I'm seeing definitely areas that are showing that some of the flood areas on the Panhandle property have like a 0.2% chance of flooding, which is a 1 in 500 year event, which is not part of the FEMA floodplain. FEMA floodplain is 1% chance of flooding. Those areas were removed from the floodplain when the Creek View specific plan was developed. They built that bypass channel, lowering the water surface elevation through that whole area and basically drying up pieces of Creek View and of Reason Farms. Reason Farms is fully mapped and modeled for the flood inundation areas. So we know exactly where the flood inundation areas are in Reason Farms. The grindings that were mentioned are well outside of the flood inundation area. I know there's some confusion because there's a sign there that says Al Johnson Wildlife Area. That is not a wildlife area. That's a future retention basin. We have a wildlife area preserve on the north side of the creek that you can't get to from the road. So the sign happens to be in a spot that is causing people to believe that is a wildlife area. It's not. It will become a storage basin, which is going to involve some excavation and some storing of materials above ground. That's the excavated material. Hopefully, we're looking at turning it into a park area as well. I have actually here, a lot of times the FEMA maps, well, not a lot of times, FEMA maps are only updated every so often. If you look at the FEMA map, their interactive tool, there mentions a LOMAR number on there. That's the LOMAR that references the Creek View modification to the floodplain. I have actually a copy of the LOMAR here, showing that the floodplain has been modified. FEMA just takes some time to update their mapping. I think I may have addressed all the questions. Are there any other questions I'd be happy to try to answer?
No, public comments closed.
Okay, any other questions of
A
staff?
quick question. Some of the neighbors out in that area keep bringing up the issue that the Reason Farms was purchased for flood mitigation. I know that's a true statement, but I also know not all of Reason Farms was planned to be in the flood area. And so I was wondering if you could just address that piece, because I think there's still confusion on that.
Sure. Purchase of Reason Farms was partially due to circumstances. People were interested in selling at the time. They wanted to sell all the parcel, and so we bought it all, not really knowing how much we needed. Since that time, we've done a preliminary study and a high-level EIR on the site, and we've determined that we don't need all of the property. And so some of that property was determined we could sell off and then recoup money to help pay for the basin, which will help control flooding downstream of Roseville. So it was purchased for a basin. We bought more than we needed. We're reimbursing the fund with the sale of that money, because otherwise we'd just be holding on to land we didn't need.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of staff?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council.
Okay, thank you. At this time, the City Council will consider the addendum to the original multi-hazard mitigation plan update, initial study negative declaration, and adopt resolution number 23-455, adopting the City of Roseville's multi-hazard mitigation plan 2023 update. This time, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Elvert.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
And Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 7.1, American Public Power Association Line Workers Rodeo Memorandum of Agreement and Budget Adjustment.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Berlusconi, members of the council. Sean Matcham with Roseville Electric. Here with me this evening is Tom Pontes, our Assistant Director over our Operations Division at the utility. We have a brief presentation on this agenda item this evening, an item we're recommending the council's approval. It relates to Roseville Electric and the City of Roseville hosting the 2025 American Public Power Agency National Line Workers Rodeo. This is an event that the utility has been part of for many years, and now we have an opportunity to host it here in Roseville. So exciting opportunity for us as a utility and for the community. And Tom will step through what's all involved in this and what we're planning for. And after he gets through the presentation, we're glad to answer any questions you may have.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Berlusconi and Council. Thank you for having me. As Sean mentioned, my name is Tom Pontes, Assistant Electric Utility Director. Contrary to the heading there, this is not a typical rodeo like everyone might be used to, so that's why we're here today. We want to kind of provide a brief explanation as the event, and at the end, hopefully, we can get Council's approval on this. So the American Public Power Association is a group that we are partnered with, and the APPA provides it bridges the gap for smaller utilities, and it provides a very good federal voice for us. They're working with utilities such as ours right now on supply chain issues and transformers. They came up with the Line Workers Rodeo in 2001, and it's been something that we've been a part of since 2006. City of Roseville has actually attended the event since 2006. The APPA protects the interests of more than 49 million customers who rely on public power. And public power, or APPA's tagline is, we are powering strong communities. So one of the affiliations that ties the City of Roseville to APPA is our director, Dan Beans. Dan has been, he's on the executive board for APPA, and he's been instrumental in opening some of these doors that in the past have not been available to Roseville. And this door is one of them that I speak to. And as I continue, I'll explain how Dan's tie to APPA has really given the City of Roseville this opportunity. The APPA Line Workers Rodeo first started, like I said, in 2001 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It provides a level of competition for two different levels of crafts, and that's the journeyman and the apprentice. Journeymen will team up in teams of 3, and then the apprentices compete individually. What's nice about this rodeo and this competition is that the event is not judged solely on time. APPA takes great pride in accumulating points of not only time, but safety, safe work practices, and proper work practices. You'll see all kinds of participants showing up from all over the United States with different work practices. Roseville has learned from those since 2006, since we've gone to those. And the education that not only our journeymen and our apprentices have learned have just really provided us with the current staff that we have today. The event will draw up to 550 participants from electric utilities nationwide, all the way from the East Coast. And like I said before, we have Roseville has participated in nearly 15 years. In those 15 years, we never really thought Roseville would get in the spotlight. As the cities that are listed on the slide there, you'll see they're big cities. I mean, we're talking in excess of 500, 600, 700,000 residents. So now Roseville has stepped up to the plate, thanks to Dan Beans, and opening the door and getting us an opportunity in front of the APPA committee. And we sent a group to Kansas City last year, and we sold Roseville. And to be honest with you, we actually bumped some other cities that were already in the queue before us. It was a pretty easy sell when our team sat down and looked at everything we had to offer. We feel that since 2001, we will provide the best venue, the best city, the best competition that the APPA Rodeo has ever seen. This next slide didn't put any words for a reason. This is a picture, I think, from 2018 rodeo. I think we were in North Carolina. And what I wanted to depict here was not only the workers up there, but this is an event that is free to the public, and it's free to family members. And this gives family members, spouses, children, aunts, uncles, residents, an opportunity to see what really happens, because most of the work that those folks are doing right now is usually not seen by the public. It's happening during storms at night. I mean, not a lot's going on when it's sunny and 60, you know. So out of all the rodeos I've been to, I think the biggest thing that people tell me that the takeaway is they say, I had no idea. I had no idea what's going on. I had no idea the level of training. I had no idea that the two workers on the pole and the worker on the ground are like in an orchestrated dance. They're not even talking to each other, and they're a step ahead from each other. And it's at these events that we learn new ways of doing things. We make connections. We constantly reach out to these other utilities. We've been doing that right now with supply chain issues. What are you guys doing? We've never had those connections in the past. Next slide, please. Okay, so the selection process. We were given a brief window to prepare basically a sale Roseville. And we had a team that went to Kansas City, like I said, and it was a no-brainer. We knew exactly where we wanted to do this. We knew when we wanted to do it. We knew the partnerships that we were going to have to make, and it was very easy for us to put this together because everything was in play. Nothing was a stretch for us to say, how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that? The pieces, there was a team of 4 people, and the pieces fell together very quickly. Within 3 days, we were in Kansas City, and the rodeo committee said, we love it. We want to come to Roseville. So this is going to be, as I stated, a multi-agency partnership between the APPA, City of Roseville. Placer Valley Tourism has a huge lift in this. We've been meeting with them. And all city departments. As we get closer to event day, we are going to be reaching into a large group of the entire city. We're going to need everybody to make this work. As I stated before, we will be one of the smallest cities to ever put this on, but we feel we are going to put on the best event. So this is our event. We are going to be, we would like to be, with council approval, the first city to ever hold a lineman's rodeo in the Speedway at the fairgrounds. So our plan is to hold the majority of the events inside the Speedway, and then all the surrounding grass areas will also have power poles. So the magnitude of this is 200 power poles on the footprint of this facility. Not only the power poles that are going to be there. All those buildings will be used for different events, such as the banquet that happens Saturday night. We have first aid station. Also included in this event is training classes that happen, safety classes that happen. There's a first aid booth. So the grounds was a perfect fit for us. The Roseville Center itself is a 160,000 square foot space, big enough to play 24 volleyball games at one time. So it's perfect for us. The on-site buildings such as Jones Hall, Johnson Hall, and the Garden Room will be used. And the existing barns, and this is the only caveat to the animals, will be used as a petting zoo for the children. So there's always a fun area for the kids, and it's set up perfect for this. So our next step, which we're here today, is we would like council to approve the MOU between the City of Roseville and APPA. And it delineates clear roles and responsibilities for both parties. The City of Roseville is going to be responsible for hosting the event, setting up the events, and then the American Public Power Association is responsible for the banquet, the registration. So it's a pretty 50-50 split on responsibility. We're here today asking for a budget adjustment of $300,000. That budget adjustment is going to be used to secure at the grounds, and most importantly, due to supply chain issues, to order 200 power poles, associated hardware. What we have done is we are identifying events that fit our current construction standards. So these poles and hardware that we're getting now will be used for our maintenance needs in the future.
Good. That was my question.
And normally we would order poles 3 to 4 months in advance, but right now the delivery on poles is 12 to 15 months. So that's why we're seeking the budget adjustment now to get ahead of the supply chain issues. Obviously, we don't need 200 poles, so we're working with our neighboring utilities. Poles are so hard to find that we anticipate no problem reselling these to our local or to our neighboring utilities. So we've looked at how we can use all the material that we're using for this event and put it right back into our system. So I think that's it for our presentation, unless anybody has any questions on anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Does council have any questions of staff? We'll start with you, Scott.
I'm imagining with the number of competitors, their families, and just the people that were going to be interested coming into town to watch this national event, that this is going to have a significant economic impact on our city. Have there been any figures or estimates made on what this could bring to our city?
Yes. So we haven't, Roseville has not done any. What we have done is we have worked with the city of Austin, who hosted the 2002 rodeo. Now, they were the first city to host the rodeo after COVID, so it was a fairly low outturn. Their economic impact, they showed $2.8 million in revenue, and local taxes of $132,000 and 1,800 hotel nights for the event. So we're anticipating in the ballpark of 5,000 to 6,000 participants and spectators for that weekend.
This is just to add to this is one of the items, Councilmember Oliver, that we want to look at more closely, specifically for Roseville. So we've been looking at what other cities, what they experience, but I think it'll be important for us to take a look at what it could mean for our community more specifically. And I think that's something we're planning to do once we get approval to move forward with this. I think we'll have more specific information to share with the council on exactly the benefits to lodging, to food and beverage, to other business services here in Roseville. So that's something's on the radar for us to take care of.
That'll be exciting. I know PVT has a lot of those figures for some of the events they've hosted, so that would be really neat to hear what that's going to bring. So congratulations.
Okay, any questions over here?
I was glad to hear that you're going to be able to use the poles, and what we don't need, we can sell. So that's good. Is this a weekend event?
Yes. So registration starts on Thursday. Friday, the apprentices show up for a 100-question test that's timed on the APPA safety manual. And then Saturday, the events will start roughly at 8 o'clock, and they should wind down around 2. And then Saturday night at the Roseville Center will be the banquet award ceremony. One thing I kind of skipped over on the presentation was I think you saw a picture of quite a few Roseville employees with a lot of trophies. So there it is right there. So as this is, there is a competitive side to this as well. And we do take this very seriously. This was last year and on the national level, we brought home 5 trophies, which most utilities don't get on the stage. Those that do get 1 or 2, and we left with 5. So for a utility that only sent 1 crew and 3 apprentices, we've been performing like that for the last 5 years. So we take a lot of pride in this, and this is something that we would not take on if we didn't think we weren't going to really provide the best event.
Any questions? No? That's good. Okay.
Vice Mayor, if I may just quickly, I just want to say one comment. The economic impact is huge, and I think it's going to be great with the restaurants and shopping with our marquee mall. Obviously, we'll see a lot of foot traffic, but I also would be remiss if I didn't mention what I think a great recruitment and retention tool this is. Getting linemen's tough. It's a hard, dirty job. Like you said, it doesn't happen at 60 and sunny. And so it's really going to be a great recruitment tool for us, too, to get exposure out there and get new people into the field, into the industry. And so I just want to really commend staff and their work on this project, because I think it'll be a great economic impact, but it's also a great recruitment and retention tool for us. So good work.
Agreed. Thank you. Okay, I'll open up to public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to comment on this item? Now's your time to come forward. Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment and bring it back to the council and ask our clerk to read a motion.
Thank you. On item 7.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23-454, approving a memorandum of agreement by and between the American Public Power Association and the City of Roseville, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville, and adopting Ordinance Number 6749, authorizing certain amendments to fiscal year 2023-24 budget, and declaring this ordinance to be immediately effective as an appropriation measure. If I can have a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get first and second? Okay, thank you. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
And Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Passes.
Thank you very much for your work on this. Okay, we'll go to item 8.1, which is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. It's the West Roseville Specific Plan Parcel F22 at 521 or 5251 Fitterment Road, Specific Plan Amendment and Development Agreement Amendment. Good evening.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Bernasconi and members of the City Council. I'm Greg Bitter, Planning Manager with your Development Services Department. Tonight I'm here with Associate Planner Kenny Shallow, and I'm going to just turn it right over to Kenny for your presentation.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Bernasconi and council members. I'm here to present a specific plan amendment and development agreement amendment for West Roseville Specific Plan Parcel F22. The project site is located at the northeast corner of Harvey Way and Fitterment Road and is currently vacant. The site has a zoning designation of multifamily residential and a land use designation of high-density residential. It has a current unit allocation of 244 units, and 184 of these units are designated as affordable rental units. Surrounding uses include open space to the north, a medium-density residential subdivision to the east, the Plaza at Blue Oaks Retail Center to the south across Harvey Way, and a vacant commercial parcel and open space to the west across Fitterment Road. In February of this year, the Planning Commission approved a parcel map to subdivide the site into 2 parcels, and as part of the project, the City Council approved a specific plan amendment and development agreement amendment to reflect the subdivision of the site and reallocate the affordable units. The applicant is currently requesting a specific plan amendment and DA amendment to essentially undo what the council approved back in February and merge the site back into 1 parcel. No development is being proposed, but the requested entitlements will better position the site for a future affordable housing project, which will be subject to the city's objective design standards process. The unit allocation will be 244 units, and as mentioned, 184 of those will be affordable, with 91 designated for very low income units and 93 low income. This is the same number of units that the site was originally allocated and is consistent with the existing HDR land use. Because the project maintains the same number of units in the specific plan, there will be no impacts to plant infrastructure, roadways, or other public facilities. The Fitterment DA will be modified to address the revised affordable unit allocations and merging of the site. Staff finds the DA amendment is in conformance with the public health, safety, and welfare and will not adversely affect the orderly development of the property or the preservation of property values. The project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to Section 15182 of CEQA guidelines as a residential project pursuant to a specific plan. The specific plan EIR was certified by City Council in February 2004, and no significant changes to the site or new potentially significant impacts have been identified, and the proposed project is consistent with the previously completed analysis. Early notification of the project was posted on the Arcona website, and notice of tonight's hearing was published on Arcona's website as well, distributed to a 300-foot radius and published in the Press Tribune. Prior to the Planning Commission meeting, staff received comments from a resident in the adjacent Oakbriar subdivision to the east of the site. The resident had concerns with potential traffic impacts resulting from the eventual construction of the apartments and potential for more overflow parking on Harvey Way, which is currently allowed on the south side but prohibited on the north side. Staff spoke with the resident and explained that because the site is consistent with the existing land use and density assumed in both the general plan and specific plan, the project is not anticipated to result in any additional traffic impacts beyond what was already anticipated. Staff will also evaluate on-street parking on Harvey Way. The project was heard by Planning Commission in October 12th, and no public testimony was received at the hearing. The Planning Commission recommended City Council adopt the specific plan amendment and development agreement amendment. In conclusion, the project is consistent with the zoning ordinance, general plan, and the West Roseville specific plan, and the required findings of fact can be made. So as mentioned, the Planning Commission does recommend the City Council approve the specific plan amendment and adopt the 5 findings of fact and introduce for first reading an ordinance approving the development agreement amendment. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Kenny. Does council have any questions of staff? Okay.
This is a little bit off topic, but I'd asked a question earlier, and I thought I would ask it up here. So I use that trail all the time. My wife and I actually go to Rayleigh's, which is just south of this property. And there's a beautiful trail that goes down under the bridge. On the west side of Fitiment, there's a nice little trail that comes on up to Fitiment. On the other side, there is none. And so you either have to cross over Fitiment at the traffic light on bikes, or you go under and go all the way around and through the neighborhood and come back. Is there any talk about trying to build a trail into this property? Is it the property's responsibility, or is that a whole separate thing? I'm just curious because it seems like an ideal opportunity to fix a problem there.
It wouldn't be this project's responsibility. That would have been identified in the specific plan and part of the financing for the specific plan, along with the open space and trails program in the specific plan. So I don't know if there is an opportunity physically to do that or any funding associated with that, but it wouldn't be.
It's not part of this.
It would have been part of the overall fee program for the West Roseville specific plan.
That is, and okay, so it doesn't go with us, that's fine.
Yeah.
Great opportunity, though, if there's any possibility, so.
Any questions?
No.
From my colleagues? Nope. Okay. I'll open up to public comment.
Good evening. I'm Chris Stewart here on behalf of USA Properties. We do not have any comments except to say that this project will be developed as an affordable housing project. And we'll have to come back through the city's objective design standards program, as Kenny mentioned. And thanks, Kenny, for working with us.
Thank you for your comments, Chris. Any other public comments? Good evening.
Good evening, Council. I appreciate the presentation, Kenny, and it triggered some questions. One, as an educational purpose for myself and the community who may not know, but what do you define as an affordable unit? What is that?
Sir, if I can have you
I'm
direct
sorry.
your comments
That's
to
right.
us. Yep,
My
thank you very
apology.
much. That's okay.
So what's defined as an affordable unit?
Okay, and do you have any other comments you want to make?
Yes.
Okay, I would just go forward and we'll have staff answer your questions.
You also indicated that acknowledgement of this plan was issued in the Press Tribune and the Roseville Coalition, the RCONA. I even ask my kids sometimes, hey guys, can you tell me, Dad, what is the most appropriate social media, newspaper, what is, if I wanted to communicate something to a large audience, what media do I use? Now, this council here acknowledged they used a newspaper and a newsletter. It didn't sound, and I heard anything about the city of Roseville's e-newsletter. So tonight's the first I'm hearing about this, and I'm very close to this. It's like, this is the closest, the Rayleigh's, that's the closest grocery store to the house. So this is my backyard. So I wanted to know, are there standards set on what media is used to communicate developments in Roseville? Okay, that's another question. And I'll wait for another topic to come up if I have
Okay.
that opportunity.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Kristen.
Sure, I'll answer the two questions. On affordable housing, the low-income units are 80% of the area median income. So you take the area median income for Placer County, which I'm guessing right now is around $105,000 to $108,000 for a family of four. So a family of four, you take 80% of that, they would qualify for the low income. For the very low income units, 50% of area median income would qualify for those units. So the table that Kenny had up for the number of units for the low and very low, those are the income limits that our housing division would look to help families that meet those income requirements find. As far as noticing of the projects, we have very specific and strict noticing requirements. So we have both the California Government Code noticing requirements as well as the Roseville Municipal Code noticing requirements. So for this type of a hearing, this public hearing, it was required to be published in a paper, a paper that publishes locally. And it is required to be sent to all property owners within 300 feet. So it was mailed to all property owners within 300 feet of the project boundary. It was published in the Roseville Press Tribune. And the Arcona notice, what we do is in an additional, this is additional above and beyond our legal requirement. We send the public notice, or we actually, Arcona, the Roseville Coalition of Neighborhood Associations, allows us to download our public notices onto their website. And we have a code, I guess. We have the different neighborhood designations. We actually check a box so that they're directed to the neighborhood association, the closest neighborhood association. So that is something that we've worked out, city staff has worked out with Arcona as an additional noticing. So we do all of the legal requirements. That's how we notice projects.
Thank you for that. Are there any other public comments tonight on this topic, on this agenda item? Good evening.
Hi there. My name is Amy. I actually was flabbergasted at the low income amounts. At 50% of 105,000, that's still below the U.S. poverty line, or that's still above. Like people who make money at the poverty line can't afford that. So what are you doing? Why are you here, unless it is to deny people housing? And I can't think of any reason why you would want to do that unless you're invested in it. So how much do people have to pay you to be considered for housing? It gets no more simple than that. How much do people have to be worth for you to consider housing them for no reason other than they pay taxes? Because the way this city is built, the way it's operated, is not friendly to the disabled. I had to dodge cars tonight just to replace windshield wipers on my car in a parking lot. And yet, you guys stand up here and talk about selling land you don't need when 200 of your neighbors have to sleep in the rain tonight. And you guys get to go home to your warm, comfortable beds, and you won't even think about it. You'll just go to sleep. And yet you're talking about building plans that half the people in this city can't afford. What are you doing here? Why are you here? If you can't answer that question, maybe you should step down.
Is there anyone else here tonight that would like to make a comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment, close the public hearing, and ask our clerk to please read the motion.
Thank you. On item 8.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23-452, amending the West Roseville Specific Plan and introducing for a first reading an ordinance of the Council of the City of Roseville adopting an 11th Amendment of the Development Agreement by and between the City of Roseville and Gen California 15 LLC, Taylor Morrison of California LLC, and West Roseville Development Company Incorporated, relative to the West Roseville Specific Plan and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville. This time, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert. Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of our agenda. We thank you very much, Greg and Kenny. We have one more public comment for anyone to make a comment on any item that's not on the agenda. Now is your opportunity if you'd like to come forward.
Hello, council again. This is an education for me. I need to understand how this works. November 7th was the day to vote. So I kind of felt a little bit excited, looking forward to my right to vote. Nothing took place. There was no talk in the House. I thought, something's kind of odd. Waited a couple days, still nothing came through the mail. I did receive the notification of the receipt identifying my party and my address, so that was correct. The week went by and I never got a chance to vote. Nothing was presented. And I go, this seems weird. I got online. It says, Tuesday, November 7th, there will be an all-mail ballot election to be held in the McKinney Water District. So in the McKinney Water District. Well, now John goes, John, are you in the McKinney Water District? I happen to be. So there was going to be an all-mail ballot. Never came. So I thought, well, let's check with the county. So I went to the office, spoke to Ryan Ronco, the Placer County Clerk Recorder, and he indicated that it was for a candidate or candidates and that there were no individuals that came forward. So that's why there was not a mailing of a ballot. Okay. I didn't read the notice of election. I guess I was focusing on these words. Every qualified voter will be issued a mail ballot. So I'm thinking, that seems pretty clear to me. Long story short, if there are no candidates that come forward, how does how do you move forward? What do you do? Do you wait another year before you find a candidate to send ballots? Or what happens? That's it.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. I think another call to Ryan Ronco who runs the election department, would be able to help you with that.
We spent 2 hours together walking his facility, showed me.
Okay. I'm just going to cut you off because your time's up and you're not at the podium, so everyone is not able to hear you. Is there anyone else tonight that would like to make a comment before we adjourn this evening?
Yes.
Josh? Good evening.
Evening. Hi, so I understand that, this was already covered on the agenda, but I just wanted to clarify my point that I wanted feedback, clarification, and potentially a motion to update Figure 9-1 from the MHMP plan. And I noticed that that wasn't entirely addressed, why there was a limit of study in the area that I mentioned. Now, maybe my memory's failing me, but it seemed like the focus was moved toward the future uses for the land, the decisions made around the land. So I just wanted to state that I don't feel like my questions and comments were properly addressed this meeting. However, I respectfully thank you for everything. So have a good night.
Thank you. And if you wanted to stay around, we can give you a contact number for the gentleman who spoke this evening, and you can talk with him further. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll bring it back to the council. Michelle, our city attorney or our city manager, you have any comments for us this evening?
No further comments, Vice Mayor.
Okay.
Not for me either.
Thank you. Councilmember Okuchidi, would you like to share some comments?
Yeah, and I'll share a few comments. It's been kind of a busy week, and I think our Vice Mayor will be mentioning our holiday parade has to be canceled because of the rain, so we're not doing it this Saturday, but hopefully it's going to come maybe. They're looking at a date, but it looks like maybe December 16th, but I don't think that's exactly firm yet. But don't go out there this Saturday. I guess that's my bottom line. But it should be fun and hopefully not in a downpour. I went to my Regional Water Authority meeting, and we're getting ready for the new year, and as in many of other committees that I'm on, where they're looking to make strategic planning now, and also electing new executive members to our team and getting ready for the new year. We had the opportunity, many of us council members here attended the Roseville honor our commissions and committee members and thank them for the work that they do, and not only to help get input to us, but reflect a lot of the public comments when people come to their meetings. So that was really nice. We had a really nice time. A lot of times you don't have the chance to see them. See them, and this was a real good opportunity to talk and enjoy their company. Also, this week we had Veterans Day event at the Veterans Park in Roseville, and that's off of Blue Oaks. And this Veterans Park, they were celebrating a bronze sculpture that was created by Mr. Chad Lefevre, and it was a big poppy in memory of Flanders Field, and it was just an opportunity to be out at the Veterans Park and see a lot of people really enjoying being there. And there were many other events all over Roseville, Placer County, honoring veterans, and that was really not only nice, it's just a thing that we need to do for them while we're sitting here in a building and they're protecting us. That's my comments.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Mendoza.
Pauline covered a lot of mine, but just wanted to mention all of us up here had an opportunity to attend the Placer County Law Enforcement Awards held out at William Jessup about a week or so ago, and we had several of our police personnel who were honored various types of awards for the heroic work, selfless work that they do on a day-to-day basis, as well as some of our regional partners from Rockland, Placer County, and Highway Patrol. So it was always rewarding to see our local law enforcement awarded for their significant acts of service on a day-to-day basis. And other than that, nothing else, Vice Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Alvord.
It was a busy couple weeks. I had to look back at my calendar and try to catch stuff. Some of the interesting things I got to participate in, Dion and I were at the Galleria Mall this week, and we got to experience an active shooter, but it was training, it was staged. They had law enforcement from all over the place, first responders, had to find a shooter who moved from a couple different places, and they had the SWAT team who are experts in vests just observing, taking notes, and watching the non-SWAT folks come in and checking how quickly they could identify who it was, where they moved to, how they clearing rooms if they did it properly, and working with our paramedics and our ambulance crew, making sure it's safe for them to get in and how they triage the patients. And it was really interesting to watch and just watch the process take place. If this was a real event, How would they adjust it? What would they do differently? And I'm really glad that we do this kind of thing, especially out at the gallery. I know we do them at the schools as well. But this is a wonderful thing for our community to make sure our first responders have the practice of trying to be in these situations and have actual people screaming and bleeding and different things. So it's a little more stress to deal with. And I want to congratulate the West Park Neighborhood and Fidment Farm Neighborhood Associations for putting on an awesome Santa photo event. The real Santa Claus, who participates in some of the city events, appeared there, and they did free digital photos for the community. It was a really neat event, a lot of fun for families with a movie going on and crafts, and of course the photos themselves. They always just do a great job out there. I got to finish up my District Attorney Academy, Citizens Academy, and I would encourage, if you haven't gone, anybody in the public, they hold these a couple times a year. And it's a really neat opportunity to learn how our district attorney works and how they work with the cities and the police staff and what cases they take and can't take. And we learn a lot about the laws, where their hands are tied, where they're not, some of the things they're trying to move forward to keep our community safe and to appropriately prosecute people. And I learned a lot of things. I was even surprised at, sometimes why it's not appropriate to prosecute. And it was great. I learned things I was surprised I learned. I thought I knew some of that, and it was great. So I just encourage people to check that out. I got to tour the landfill. I serve on the WAPMA board. I know Pauline served for many years there. They're doing something kind of unique right now. Every 10 years, roughly, they have a new pit that they deal with to start filling garbage in. And the pit is exposed, and they're putting down the different layers of really heavy plastic and rock and things. It's a very formal process to make sure nothing seeps through. And we got to tour the whole landfill. They took the community out for an odor workshop, and they got to learn about different odors. And I thought that was just a fantastic program for the community, and they got to see something neat that you only get to see every decade or so. And then the last thing I wanted to, we don't usually engage in a lot of public comment, but Amy, you brought up a couple things, and I wanted to just address that from my perspective. Affordable housing laws are not something we can control. It's actually something applied to our city. And so our median income level is where the state requires us to base it on. And so we can't affect the median income level. And so this is a requirement that we have to respond to and provide to our residents. So we don't have much of a say in that at all. And also you made a comment about us getting paid by developers, and none of us are. And if we ever were, we wouldn't be able to vote on it. We'd have to recuse ourselves. And it would just be very inappropriate. And I know the council members I've worked with, that's not an issue.
Interactions, because your actions say otherwise.
It's not an interactive conversation right now, but we work very hard, and we work within the limits, and we are very ethical people. So I just wanted to address that. But I do think the affordable housing thing, it's tough when you do have a high median income. It does kind of tie our hands, and it does make it expensive. And sometimes Roseville's not the best place for people to live if they're really struggling. We do have a lot of affordable homes. We do try to help. We put out a lot of vouchers, but there's just such a long line of people that want to get into these homes. So, and I go to bed at night thinking about a lot of things that are heavy on my heart. So hope you won't judge me for that, because you don't really know me that well, but I do appreciate your comments.
Okay, thank you very much. You all have covered a lot of ground tonight with all of your comments. The only thing that I will add is that between now and the next time that we meet, December 26th, we won't have a parade, but we should have a tree lighting, weather permitting, November 30th here in our town square. Beautiful tree that was delivered yesterday. That's at 6 p.m. If anyone plans to go, I would just plan to get here really early, enjoy what is downtown, to make sure that you get a chance to park. So with that, I will adjourn us until we have our next meeting a couple weeks from now, December 6th. Thank you all very much for being here. Happy Thanksgiving.